Good day, everyone. I am Jude Adrian S. Alberto, a BS in Biology student at the University of the Philippines, Visayas Tacloban College. In this video, I will be discussing the coral reef ecosystem featuring its coral reef fishes. Coral reef fishes are the most diverse vertebrate assemblages on the planet. Reef fishes exhibit an incredible range of shapes, sizes, colors, behavior, and ecology. Adult body sizes range from 1 centimeter for guppies or guppidae to nearly 8 meters for tiger sharks or carcharinidaes. Over a third of the approximately 15,000 described species of marine fishes are thought to inhabit coral reefs worldwide, and hundreds of species can coexist on the same reef. Reef fishes' latitudinal distribution mirrors that of reef-building corals, which are typically restricted to shallow tropical waters bounded by the 20 degrees isotherms, roughly between the latitudes of 30 degrees north and south. The Indo-Pacific Coral Triangle, roughly defined by the Philippines to the north, the Solomon Islands to the east, and Indonesia to the west, is the longitudinal center of diversity and origin for many taxa. Three major activities endanger reef fishes. First, overfishing is widespread, owing to destructive subsistence fishing practices such as dynamite fishing and in some developing countries called Malthusian overfishing, and live collections for export to high-end Asian restaurants. In 2010, the endangered Napoleon or humphead wrasse Caelinus undulatus was wholesaled in Beijing for $250 per kilogram. Groupers and snappers spawning aggregations are specifically vulnerable to extinction. Second, local destruction of coral reefs and associated nurseries near human population centers deprives fishes of habitat through 1. Eutrophication and sedimentation of reefs, and 2. Dredging and burying of reefs, mangroves, and seagrass beds, the latter two ecosystems providing habitat for juvenile reef fishes. Third, coral reefs worldwide are dying from coral bleaching and are being hampered by ocean acidification, both of which are caused by carbon emissions from humans, burning of fossil fuels, and clearing of forests. Currently, 8% of the more than 1,000 reef fishes are assessed by the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, or IUCN, are considered threatened with extinction. Fully protected marine reserves, which have proven effective in replenishing depleted populations, are the primary solution for local conservation. Human-caused carbon emissions must be drastically reduced for global conservation, which is within the capabilities of the current wind, solar, and other renewable energy technologies, but is strongly opposed by fossil fuel interests. We have here some of the adaptations that these coral reef fishes have developed in order to survive in their respective habitats. First is pigmentation. It is unsurprising that these fishes are colorful. Alfred Russel Wallace was a 19th century British naturalist, explorer, geographer, anthropologist, and biologist that first assumed that this coloration is primarily determined by habitat. Everything on the reef is vibrant. As a result, the primary function of colors is to provide visual protection from predators. Take, for example, two distinct habitats, the Caribbean and West Coast reefs. The former is known for having crystal clear water and vibrant coral reefs, whereas the latter has a muddier water and no corals. As a result, reef fish in the Caribbean use bright colors to communicate, whereas the relatives in the Eastern Pacific are darker and use dimmer colors. Next, we have body shape. Reef fish have also evolved to survive in the coral reef environment by changing the shape and structure of their bodies. Coral reefs have many nooks and crannies, some of which are quite small. These fish have flatter body which allows them to maneuver more easily and seek shelter among the crevices to avoid predators. Here, we have an image of a clownfish blending in its background and a gubby fish seeking shelter on a coral. Fish and other animals in reef habitats have evolved a variety of feeding methods and body structures that allow them to survive and thrive in reef environments. Since they live in different regions on the coral ecosystem, their feeding habits also depend on their location. Herbivores eat algae, which are marine plants. Algae typically grows on the reef's surface. Herbivores have mouth shapes and teeth that are designed to scrape the algae from rocks and corals. General carnivores are reef fishes that eat zooplankton, invertebrates, and other fishes. Carnivores have different mouth shapes and teeth depending on what they eat. They are considered to be the most diverse among all reef fishes in general. Their teeth are designed for grasping, which can engulf their prey. Their diet includes crustaceans, arthropods, gastropods, and even small cephalopods. The image here shows the long teeth of a barracuda. One of the best-known cases of marine mutualism occur in reef fishes. Cleaning symbiosis occurs when small microcarnivorous fish consume ectoparasites or necrotic tissue from larger client fish, which frequently allow cleaners to feed on their mouths and gill cavities. The primary cleaners are virus guppies and wrasses. Their interaction, however, is not always mutualistic, as cleaners bite their hosts on occasion. Some saber-toothed blennies mimic cleaner wrasse and thus parasitize client fish. Anemone fishes, particularly the genus Amphiphryon, have mutualistic relationships with several large anemone genera. The fish gain protection from predators by hiding in the anemone's stinging tentacles by avoiding the discharge of the cnidarian's nematocysts. In turn, the fish protect their host from butterfly fishes and other anemone predators. In this video, we will be dealing with these three main taxa: the labroids, acanthoroids, and chytodontoids. First on our list is the labridae representative, or the wrasses. They are usually found on the Atlantic, Indian, and Pacific Ocean. Their sizes range from 5 centimeters to 2 meters. Their defining characters include elongated and slender bodies having thick lips and smooth scales. Most species are sand burrowers, and they carnivorize benthic invertebrates. Some also remove the ectoparasites of larger fishes. Next on our list is Underscaridae, or the parrot fishes. They are also found at the Atlantic, Indian, and Pacific Ocean. Their sizes starts from 1.2 meters or even larger. Their defining characteristic is having an elongated, blunt-headed, deep-bodied, brightly colored scales with a distinct bird-like beak. It is formed by the fusion of two frontal teeth and jaws. Bits of rocks are eaten with the algae and are crushed into sand and ground with the algae to aid the digestion, making the parrotfish some of the most important producers of sand on coral reefs. They are herbivorous, usually scraping algae from dead coral substrates, and also protogynous hermaphrodites, meaning that they function as females and later transform into males. Then we have Underpomacentridae, are the damsel fishes. They are usually found in the Indo-West Pacific, from the Philippines to Australia to Atlantic or the Eastern Pacific. Their sizes are about 15 centimeters. Their body is a bit deep and compressed. Many species are highly territorial herbivores. Some are omnivores or planktivores. They have small mouth, incomplete and uninterrupted lateral line, with anal fin that are usually having 2 spines, and some have very rarely 3. First on the canthoroid representative are the surgeon fishes. They are also found in the Indo-West Pacific, from the Philippines to Australia to Atlantic or the Eastern Pacific. Their sizes are about 50 centimeters. Their spines resemble a surgeon's scalpel. These spines may either be fixed in place or hinged at the rear so that they can be opened outward or directed forward. Mostly are algae eaters. Undersiganidae are the rabbit fishes. Their distribution is also in the Indo-Pacific and Eastern Mediterranean. Their sizes are about 40 centimeters. Their spines are very poisonous. Each pelvic fin with three soft rays between an inner and outer spine. Their dorsal fin has 13 strong spines, having soft rays of 10. Anal fin spines of 7 with soft rays of 9. They are also considered diurnal herbivores that feed on benthic algae. We have the Zanclidae representative, the Moorish idols. They are also considered to be part of the Indo-Pan-Pacific areas. Their sizes are about 40 centimeters, having white, yellow, and black vertical bars. Their bodies are compressed, having a disc-like formation. They have a long, tubular snouts that end with their small mouths, and their eyes are also set high on their bodies. Adults have visible bumps above their head. The fins of the Moorish idols are relatively small, except for the 7 to 8 dorsal spines, which extends and sweep back along the body in a whip-like manner. These dorsal extensions shorten with age. They also feed mainly on encrusted life, including sponges, tunicates, and other invertebrates and algae in the benthic zone. The Chaetodontidae representatives, the butterfly fishes, are usually found in the Atlantic to the Indo-West Pacific areas. They are small fishes of sizes having 20 centimeters. They are deep-bodied that are thin on both sides. They also have a single dorsal fin, with mouth having tiny bristle-like teeth. Black and shades of yellow predominate, and the markings are often in the form of dark bands on one or more large spots. They are usually found on the dorsal and posterior region that may serve to confuse the predators. They usually feed on crustaceans and on coral polyps. Pomacanthidae representative, angelfishes, are usually found on tropical Atlantic, Indian, and Pacific areas. Sizes of about 4 to 6 centimeters. They feed usually on sessile invertebrates. They are commonly silvery with vertical dark markings, but may be solid or partially black. They are carnivorous and take care of their eggs and young. These angelfishes are distinguished from butterfly fishes by a sharp spine on each cheek. These are thin, deep-bodied fishes with elongated dorsal, anal, and pelvic fins. We have here the Philippine coral reef fishes. The map of the Philippines here is shown with the location of Tawi-Tawi, Palawan, and Panay Island. It is also showing us the 6 biogeographic regions of the Philippines and the prevailing direction of the current flow of in and out in the Sulu Sea. Asian countries are also shown with the location of Tawi-Tawi relative to the Coral Triangle. Tawi-Tawi is an archipelagic province with more than 300 islands found in the southernmost part of the Philippines and at the right of the heart of the Coral Triangle. The Visayan Seas is considered to be the highest marine shorefish diversity in the world. Currently, there are 266 recorded species from the markets of Tawi-Tawi. The family Epeniphelinae was the most specialized group, followed by Lutjanidae, Acanthuridae, Scarinae, Lithrinidae, Nemepteridae, Ballistidae, Mulidae, Siganidae, Hemulidae, and Sicyonidae respectively. Based on the status of the assessment of the International Union for Conservation of Nature, one species under the subfamily Scarinae, Scarus hypsilopterus, was considered as a near-threatened species. 4 species were also recorded to be vulnerable, and 225 species were least concerned. 6 species, including the giant grouper Epinephelus lancelotus, was recorded as data deficient, while the remaining 30 species has not been evaluated. Here, we have the data on the status of coral communities and reef-associated fish and invertebrates in Batangas and northern Palawan by Verderero et al. 2017. The top 3 perceived human impacts of impact on Batangas are tourist diving and snorkeling, yak presence, and siltation. In Palawan, artisanal or recreational fishing, tourist diving, harvesting of invertebrates for food, and sewage pollution were the human impacts perceived to have the greatest impact. Destructive fishing were also observed during the data collection period. This means that these reef fishes are overexploited and overharvested. This entails that there is high risk due to both human and natural activities. Here are the references used for this video. Thank you for watching and I hope you've learned a lot.